My name is Vivian.
My name is Michael.
We've been together since 1980 and got married in 1982. And we met
At a friend's house.
at a friend's house.
Yes, a mutual acquaintance house.
I was already there visiting with a friend, and then he popped over with
My ex-girlfriend.
his ex-girlfriend.
We went out every Saturday night but two for 2.5 years.
A favorite memory.
Going to your parents' house for Thanksgiving.
That was the first time he actually came over. I mean, he met my parents before because I was in college at the time and I was a commuter, so I lived at home. And he really didn't have family that he spent time with in the area. So I think that was the first year that we were dating. And I asked my mom if it would be okay if he could have Thanksgiving with us. And, you know, she was fine with that. And it was kind of fun. I had to warn him because my family was kind of loud. And, of course, the game was going to be on. So there was a lot of yelling at the television set. So I don't know if that startled him too much.
No, it was. That was my favorite thing, was going over to your parents for the holidays.
I would say, for the most part, we never really encountered anything that was really, that I would describe as god-awful. What we mostly experienced, especially early in our relationship, were a lot of stares. People would stare at us, especially being in the North Dallas area, because it wasn't particularly diverse, I guess you could say, even though I grew up in Hamilton Park, which is primarily, you know, black neighborhood. It
wasn't much of an experience, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like there were a lot of stone throwers or anything like that.
The occasional comments.
Right, yeah. But as far as like neighbors, most of the immediate neighbors we've had have always been very friendly. You know, it never seemed like anybody was giving us the eye because we were there.
Yeah. Of course, we also made a point of not even being in areas or living in areas where that would be an issue. It's a lot more open to places where you can live, to where you wouldn't feel just like a fish out of water. But then there are some places I still wouldn't feel real comfortable living, because it's just, you know, this isn't there, and it doesn't necessarily seem to be encouraged. Mm-hmm. And I remember an occasion we were talking about not too long ago. We had visited Arkansas, Hot Springs, and there for a weekend. And we thought, well, let's go hang out in the hot tub. And there was an older white gentleman already in the hot tub. And we kind of climbed in, and he had this really disgusting look on his face. Now, I told Michael later, I said, I don't know whether does he just look like that all the time, or was he disgusted by me being in there, or was he disgusted by both of us being together in there? I mean, oftentimes you just don't know. And I guess in some ways I kind of preferred it that way.
Yeah, the ambiguity.
Yeah. When we first got married, you know, we lived in North Dallas for a while, then we moved on to East Dallas. And the funny thing about living in the East Dallas area is that we kind of felt like both of us were in a minority there, because it was largely Hispanic. And I never really felt out of place there. I felt really comfortable with that. But then the further north you would go, the further north you would drive in the Dallas area, it frankly got wider and wider, and I felt more and more uncomfortable. And just us being out maybe to a mall or something, it was very odd and uncomfortable. You know, it's gotten less that way. Like my parents really didn't seem to have a problem with it. And I just remember later on, after my mother passed away, and my dad telling me that he said you know, Mike's okay. This is after we'd been married a long time. It's like, you're like, okay, you know, he's always seemed to treat you very well and everything. I said, yeah, he has. And I think he was, you know, that I think it made it easier for them. They were never, I think their first choice would not have been for me to marry this. But they never said anything to that effect. You know, they were always very welcoming with him.
Well, yeah, they were always very nice to me.
Yeah. So it was just, it was nice that it worked out that way. Yeah.
When we first told them we were getting married, they didn't want much to do with us. But, yeah, they seemed rather distant, but then we had 2 charming grandchildren, and they were just excited to see them.
It took a while. The oldest was, I think Aubrey was 2 or 3.
Yeah.
When we finally met the whole family. So we'd been married, gosh, 70 years?
Yeah.
Before I actually met, like, his side of the family. We were very unique early on in our relationship. You know, you just really didn't see that many interracial couples. But now it's really kind of opened up a lot. And it's kind of refreshing to see. So we kind of hope that we raise them to just be, you know, open. And I think being in the neighborhood we were in, just having our relationship and, you know, just trying to teach them that people are people. It's just so, I mean, even thinking about it now, it just makes me feel really good that things have opened up and things have gotten better. Of course, I say that now, but right now I feel more like a black woman than I have in a really long time. I don't spend a lot of time, you know, thinking about, you know, what color I am or things like that. But lately, the environment in the past 2 or 3 years, I've become much more hyper-aware of the fact that I'm a black woman. And I have real mixed feelings about that. Because, I mean, it's always there, of course. It's nothing that's at the top of my head. But I think a lot of what's going on, you know, politically right now and people's responses to it have kind of made me, has made that come out more.
I guess I'm just mostly embarrassed.
By what?
By white people. Well, you know, if it's advice, but it's sort of inevitable. It seems like that's one of those barriers that's been broken. We're not going backwards on that. Even if a lot of people don't like it, we're not going backwards on that. So, like she had said earlier, it's not common anymore. I mean, it's not uncommon anymore at all. To the point where we used to laugh about, oh, we're special, and now we're not special anymore.
Darn. Yeah. But I think also a part of it, I know people still have issues about lots of different things. I mean, it hasn't totally gone away. There are people who are still rejecting their children because they're, you know, gay. I think you just have to bear in mind that, yeah, you may have come from a different background, you may have been raised differently, but that's not always connected with the color of your skin or the culture that you grew up in. People are people. There are negative things, there are positive things, you're going to see it across the board. And if you keep that in mind and don't let other people put you into a hole or put the people that you care about into a hole, you should be okay. And to surround yourself with just positive people. Because the last thing I want to do is be around people who have an issue with us or you know, other people that we may care about that may be a little different or look at life a little differently.
Yeah.